Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I'm so happy to be with you again today as we consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. In today's episode, I'm talking about using your body to calm your anxious, fearful brain. And I wanted to start out with two quotes, and they are both from Amy Cuddy, and I think she's awesome, and I think her book Presence is what inspired me to talk to you guys about this again. I know I've talked to you about it in the past, but she is awesome, and I will have a link to her book Presence in the show notes if you're interested in reading that. The first quote I have from Amy is, "What I most want you to understand is that your body is continuously and convincingly sending messages to your brain, and you get to control the content of those messages." That's super important. You get to control the content of those messages. This is why you hear me talk pretty often about using your body to break the cycle of fear, adrenaline, fear, right? That cycle we get stuck in. We can't always think ourselves out of that because the mind has gone off. It has gone down the wormhole, and it is time for us to use our body that is right in front of us to actually break that cycle. And so the second quote that I have from Amy Cuddy is, "Tiny tweaks can lead to big changes." And I hope that's hopeful for you, because tiny things that we can do with our body can lead to big changes. This is awesome news for those of you who feel like you can't make that shift. You can't break the cycle. You get stuck in it. And I know I've been there, but the body is the way that you can really begin to maneuver your way out of it. So typically, a person suffering with great stress or anxiety will curl inward. We're going to be looking at our body today a little bit. So notice that C shape that you can make. And a person with stress and anxiety will do this. This is the body trying to protect itself. And when you're in anxiety and when you are stressed, you are trying to get safe. Maybe you're not running for safety, but maybe you're curling inward. This is the body trying to protect itself. The back and the shoulders create this C shape toward the front. And the mind affects the body, and the body affects the mind. So when we are in this C shape, physically, we may not have even been thinking that we were feeling anxious or in danger or anything like that, but the actual position of our body is sending that message to the brain, to the amygdala of all places, that there is a problem. Think of a hedgehog when it protects itself, right? It curls right up into a ball. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to protect ourselves. But the problem is, number one, that we don't have something right there in front of us that we're dealing with most of the time. 99%, I would have to say, if not more, it is in our head where the danger is. The thoughts, it's the thoughts. We're not dealing with someone being an aggressor to us with causing us physical harm. We're hearing something on the news. We're hearing an angry boss. These are things that we have learned over time to register as danger, but we are not really in physical danger. So we don't need to take on this bodily posture because that sends the message to the amygdala, Houston, we have a problem, and send out all of the stress hormones because we need to fight or we're going to have to run, right? And we don't want that. We don't need all of that adrenaline and cortisol racing through our veins. So again, we find ourselves in the loop with the mind and the body, right? So when we're in this C shape, we're sending those messages. We get the anxiety going, which causes us to think more negatively. We think more ways of trying to get protection and to take care of ourselves and keep other people away. And which comes first it's the chicken or the egg, right? It could be either way. This could have all started with a thought, but it also could have started with a posture. And that's important to know. Problems caused by poor posture, anxious or depressed postures, are as follows. The airways are collapsed and we can suffer with improper breathing. And what does that do? That just causes more of that message to the brain that there is a problem. We're not getting enough oxygen, or our carbon dioxide and O2 levels are the ratio is off, and the airways are collapsed with that C kind of shape. So again, we're not breathing correctly. We're not getting that full belly breath, which we know stimulates the vagus nerve, which stimulates our mind to relax the parasympathetic nervous system, and we can begin to relax. What are some other problems that are caused? Circulation, changes in our circulation and the flow of blood and energy to all of our organs and nervous system can be caused by poor posture. Breathing through the nose is another way that I want you to use to relax the nervous system. People become mouth breathers for a lot of different reasons, but we don't want to be breathing through our mouth. Becoming a nose breather is well worth the time and the effort. I have other episodes I know where I've talked about this, so forgive me, but I want you to notice how different you feel when your nose is stuffed up, right? If you get a cold and your nose is stuffed up, you really feel weird, like I can't breathe. It's because you're used to being a nose breather. And so for those of you who have trained yourself from whatever reasons to become mouth breathers, you may want to do some homework and look into ways to become a nose breather. Again, the nose is where we are meant to breathe from. And often when we're speaking, we breathe through our mouth. Often when we are exercising, there are times when we are sucking the air in through our mouth. But what we want to do, we spend a lot of time asleep at night, right? And while you're in that bed, you want to be breathing through your nose. There are people who out there in the health world that I frequent have been using medical tape that's not super sticky. It's not like putting duct tape on your mouth, but it could open if you really pulled your mouth open, to keep their mouth closed, to keep their lips together at night so that they can train themselves to breathe through their nose. It really slows down the breathing. It actually warms the air, it prepares it for the lungs, and it really helps us with the exhalation also. So I know when I do a lot of talking, like after I've done a lot of recording or a lot of speaking, my whole body feels different because I have not been breathing so much through my nose. I've been sucking air in through my mouth and exhaling through my mouth also with words. So you can notice the difference if you've had a cold and you are stuffed up. And we can see that how posture can cause distress, right? We're breathing incorrectly, and we could also be putting ourselves into hyperventilation because we feel like we're not getting enough air, so we keep sucking more air in, which causes us to have, again, the wrong ratio of oxygen to carbon dioxide. So what do we do for that if we're hyperventilating and we find that our breathing is off? We want to slow our exhale through the nose. Just let it be longer and slower. And when you breathe in, let it come all the way down into your belly with your belly relaxed. That's our way. It's easy. Now, of course, there are a lot of other breathing exercises that you can do and you could get involved in, but to just correct that off breathing where you feel like you can't catch your breath or you're hyperventilating, longer, slower exhalation will really get you out of that. So how do we correct our way out of this anxiety-causing posture? First one is to sit less. Now, of course, this is good news all the way around, to sit less. We know we need to stand, sit, because standing all the time is not good either. You don't want to be in one position for a long period of time. But to get your way out of the poor posture that causes anxiety is to sit less. Take breaks. Stretch. Every once in a while, get up from that desk and move around, stretch, do some qigong or some tai chi warm-ups or even some yoga. Give yourself a break, and it doesn't have to take but a few minutes. Just actually getting that blood flowing again will really be a godsend. Find seating at your desk that allows for more upright posture, keeping your chest open and relaxed. This really adds to better breathing and to circulation. Even just using our phones, like we're just hunching forward all the time. That C position is becoming like so natural. The shoulders going forward and the chest caved in. We want to sit up more straight and let the chest pop out and keep our breathing going. That way we can relax our belly and really get a good breath in. Maybe you can step outside on a break if you can for some fresh air, some sunshine, and some movement. And take a glass of water with you. So getting away from the desk and walking outside for a few minutes can really be, it will help you with your circulation. It will help you want to stand up straight when you get away from the desk. You could also do some things. If you have really bad posture, you could see a chiropractor or a physiotherapist or a physical therapist for a checkup on your posture and for tips for your specific issues. Now, I want to say a little side note here. My daughter recently went through, she had always had some spine issues, and as you get older, they get worse. And she has gone through a series of exercises with a professional and really straightened things out. And so many things have changed. I really am amazed at how her posture has been able to change for her. And by doing, as Amy Cuddy calls it, the small tweaks. You have to do them consistently and you have to do them, but it really can make a difference. The other thing that you can do is the power pose, which Amy Cuddy talks about. You can work on power poses and do these anywhere. So, like I said, this is all in her book, Presence, but you can also look up her TED Talk and really get into the pose there by using power poses. So look Amy Cuddy up and TED Talks, and you will hear her talk about it and show it. These poses, they take up more space, right? So you're not getting smaller in that C position. You're expanding out. You take up more space, and it sends a signal for greater calm and peace, the opposite of shrinking by curling up, which is a signal to your brain that there is danger. We want to send the signal to the brain that I am safe, I am taking up more space in this world. Body language changes our minds, and we can harness this consciously. Amy Cuddy also says, and I quote, "Our bodies change our minds, and our minds can change our behavior. Don't fake it till you make it. Fake it until you become it." And again, that was from Amy Cuddy. She's just like the queen of this. It's awesome. So here's one that can get you started. It's the 2-minute power pose. Do it, even if you don't feel like it, okay? See if it makes you feel different. You have your feet hip distance apart, and your arms are up overhead and wide, and hold it for 2 minutes. So you're standing there, your feet are hip distance apart, and you got your arms up like you just made a goal or something, but your arms are spread out a little bit more, not just straight up like the referee would do, but a little more out. And hold this for 2 minutes. I won't wait for you. I will let you do it on your own. But if you do this first thing in the morning, if you are sensitive to the morning rise of cortisol, you will see a reduction in that feeling of the morning cortisol. Get up and try this. I would love for you to let me know if you try it and how it works for you. This is a 2-minute power pose. Yes, you can stand there for 2 minutes. You could also breathe while you're doing it. Just imagine you're getting so many things done all at once in your first 2 minutes of rising in the morning. What a wonderful start to the day. I so appreciate all of you being here, and I so appreciate the emails that you send and the Patreon people who donate and are in that, and the people who have joined the premium membership to get the shows without the ads. You just make me feel so loved and cared for, and I hope that you know that doing all of this is part of what I really could have used back when I was struggling, back when there was no internet and there was only information that I could get from like a library or the bookstore. And I lived in a little tiny town. A city library was, a 45-minute drive away. So I would go to the little library. I would go to the bookstore. I did what I could with what I had, and you can do that too. And I am just here to share things like Amy Cuddy's work, which has been so important. When I read that book, I was just flabbergasted with her ability to link all of this together. And I hope that you will take the time to either look at her TED Talk or get her book out of the library and keep expanding on the things that are working for you, the things that you hear on the show that you feel like are resonating with you. I want you to take those and fly with them. I so appreciate you being here. And now for today's quote. What I most want you to understand is that your body is continuously and convincingly sending messages to your brain, and you get to control the content of those messages. And that's from Amy Cuddy. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.